we're living in today are strange ones, you'll agree, and different in every way from what they used to be. Though in some ways we have improved, it's true, alas, alack, that if we had the chance, we all would like the clock put back to 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the world was quite a decent spot for living in, you know. We had a decent summertime, a decent spring and winter time, also a decent closing time. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, we had no taxi drivers then, but hansom cabs, you know. You called a cab, it'd stop his horse. I like those cabs and cabbies, cause they never asked how far it was. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, the ladies who were 40 didn't say so, oh dear, no. I know a lady I could name, she says she's 28 for shame. Once more I know she said the same. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, England had some boxing men who knew the way to go. At fighting we'd the best of sons, they'd stand like any sons of guns, not horizontal champions. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, when folks went to the seaside for perhaps a week or so, the boarding houses weren't such holes, landladies were delightful souls, their menus never had rissoles. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, domestic servant problems then were trivial, you know. They didn't pick what they should do, they'd cook and scrub and wait on you and wash the smalls and largest too. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, you never heard a jazz band in a restaurant, oh no. No ragtime pianist would strum, no wild-eyed drummer bang a drum, and the banana shortage hadn't come. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, if you went down to Brighton or to Margate, don't you know, the hotels where you stayed pro tem had all got English guests in them. The Yids were in Jerusalem. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, a pound was 20 shillings and the income tax was low. If for a drink you felt inclined, and in a pub a pal you'd find, for 2 and 6 you'd both get blind. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, the ladies' frocks were not so high and the blouses weren't so low, and crepe de chine, also Georgette, for undies wasn't worn, you bet. They hid their charms in flannelette. 20 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, London was a splendid place from Pimlico to Bow. Happiness was quite complete, to walk or ride was quite a treat, the roads wound up in every street. 20 years ago, hey, oh, many a year ago, those were the days in which to live when times were good, you know, and I'm sure there's many here today who wish that we could go to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Hold it, Cindy, let me show them.